Welcome to DI On Live, and today we are here with Gregory Collie, producer of iCreate Music Seminar,
Hmm.
located in Nassau, Bahamas. Today we're going to talk about laying the foundation for a viable music industry in the Caribbean, technology, music, and education. Welcome, Gregory.
Thank you for having me. Good night, everyone.
All right, so Gregory, tell us a little bit about who you are
Hmm.
and what was the driving force behind actually creating I Create.
Well, actually, I'm a music producer first. So it all started when I started traveling across the U.S., attending various conferences and seminars, just trying to further myself and my pursuit of success in the music industry. I made trips to New York, LA, Phoenix, Atlanta, Miami, just all across the U.S., attending various music seminars, conferences, and showcases. And it really opened my eyes to, networking, education, and I just felt that it was something that was so desperately needed back here in the Bahamas. So I felt that I would be the perfect platform to give the aspiring musicians here the education and the networking opportunities that they needed to help themselves to move further in their careers.
Now, September 20th, 2014, you're hosting your second I Create Music Seminar. Tell us about your first one that you hosted in 2011 and
Hmm.
what were some of the learning challenges that you had during that time.
Well, it was the first one, so there were many, I guess, learning curves or obstacles to overcome. Um, just the whole, and I pretty much the first one I dealt with practically every single aspect of it myself. So from the finding the persons, meaning the A&Rs to attend, to actually booking the airline, hotel.
Now, as a father and a music producer, we all know that we have to take these moments and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
enjoy them, right?
I do apologize. I am a father, and I'm going through the terrible two stage. So,
Oh,
as you can see, yeah, that's the worst. Oh my God. But yeah, it's beautiful at the same time. But like I was saying, the learning curve, it was like just dealing with airfare, hotel accommodations, transportation, and then actually planning the event. Getting things to start on time, discovering what would be the perfect topics to touch on based on the panelists that I had because it was just three panelists at that time. I
okay.
had Omar Grant, who is an A&R at Rock Nation. I had Walter Jones, who was A&R at Sony ATV Music Publishing, and then there was Alaska Gideon, who was the A&R at Warner Brothers Music Group. So for that seminar, we pretty much just touched on lightly on a myriad of topics, which are stemmed from publishing to what A&Rs do, to what A&Rs look for, to just various aspects of the business. We tried to cover as much as we could, but I think what I learned most from that event was that it was limited because it was just A&Rs. So with
Mm.
this one, I really wanted to step it up and cover a broader spectrum. So this time we're going to have artists, singer, songwriter, music producer, music attorney, as well as an A&R. So it's going to be a more diverse panel. So we'll get to touch on a lot more than we did with the first event. With the first event, it was a great experience. We had quite a few persons turned out, lots of new persons that I never knew before the event, and I think it went pretty well. We had a few hiccups with certain things, those which we learned from, but it went off pretty well. Like I said, I was back in 2011. It's 3 years later now, and we've added a date, so it's 2 days, and we've also added more panelists and more diverse panelists. So this one is going to be 10 times better.
10 times better. Now, just a few weeks ago, we had a conversation with Jay Hatch, who is
Hmm.
actually one of the speakers at your event and also hosting the Audio Pro edition of the A3C. Now, A3C is
Hmm.
a really large conference here in Atlanta, and
Hmm.
they've grown. They're celebrating their 10-year anniversary. You guys are now in your Terrible Two stage.
Hmm.
And I think that I see how we play over that.
I see that. That was great.
I think that what are some of the things that you're looking forward to? This, seeing that you have iStandards as a part of this process, because they do 70 venues a year.
Hmm. Yeah, iStandard. They're the veterans in this game. It's a privilege to have them on board. I've attended a couple of iStandard events myself. So I met Jay Hatch back in, I think it was 2008 at Beats on the Beach. I think was the first time I met Jay Hatch. Really cool, real cool, down to earth, and it's just a pleasure to have them on board because, like I said, they do these kinds of events often, and they really genuinely look out for the producers. And now I think they've added a publishing company, so now they're incorporating songwriters, more musicians as well. But they really look out for the people that are serious about their careers and that are trying to come up in the industry. So their events are great events to attend if you're looking to advance yourself. So it's a pleasure to have them on board. They'll be taking part in the I think the Shop Your Music panel as well as hosting the beat battle. So they're going to be pretty involved on day two, which is on Sunday, and it's just awesome to have them on board.
Now we have them on board and they're going to be participating, but you also have Combat Jack. And
Hmm.
like I've listened to Combat Jack show and met him at A3C again.
Hmm.
Um, and so tell us a little bit about the reasoning behind having a personality slash lawyer, well, a lawyer turned personality
Hmm.
on your panel.
Well, like I explained to him today, I actually just found out about Combat Jack through because I watched The Breakfast Club quite a bit, and I saw when he was on there. That's when I first saw him. So I thought it was an interesting interview, and I decided to do some more research on him and discover that he was very active as an attorney in the hip hop game, dealing with a lot of contracts and stuff. And at the time, I didn't have an attorney for the event, and I knew that I wanted one for sure, just to really cover the legal aspect. So he's going to play a huge role in covering the legal aspect of the industry, dealing with contracts, both when he was practicing, about 10 years ago, or however long it was, and how he sees it now, like how things have changed from then to now. Also, why he transitioned from being an attorney to a radio personality, or just a personality on the whole. We're going to talk about that. He just brings so much to the table, like I said, from the legal aspect, and he can also touch on, as being a personality, having his own show, so he can touch on that aspect as well. So he covers, two different areas. So he's going to play a vital role as well.
Now, we talked about the iCreate Music Seminar and what's going on September 20th and 21st in Nassau, Bahamas. But I really want to talk about creating a viable music industry throughout the Caribbean because you just recently opened up this conference or the seminar to the rest of the Caribbean via digital platforms.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit about your vision in actually creating a sustainable music industry.
Well, I'm hoping that we can really create a huge industry throughout the Caribbean. But as you would know, it's going to be a team effort. It's going to take it's going to take a whole lot to get it from where it's at now to where we like it to be. As far as my vision is concerned, I think we can be on par with any other region in the world, to be honest with you, because the talent is there. The talent is here. The talent is throughout the region. So we have the talent. It's just a matter of prioritizing it and pushing it forward into the forefront. so many things come before the arts in the Caribbean, especially here in the Bahamas. I mean, music is like way to the bottom of the rung on that ladder. So it's just a matter of making it a priority and pushing it forward. My vision is to have arts as one of the largest industries, if not the largest industry in the Bahamas and hopefully the region. But that, like I said, is way to the bottom now, so it's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. But eventually, I would like for the arts to be right there at the top as one of the leading industries in the Bahamas.
Now, it's interesting that you would say throughout the region, making it strong throughout the region. Um, with the people that you have in combat, Jack is actually of Caribbean descent.
Hmm.
So I think that that was an excellent additive to the program
Hmm.
because a lot of times Caribbean people feel like they're so far out that they can't really participate in quote unquote mainstream.
Hmm.
But because of technology and the accessibility of technology with the growth of broadband in your region, people now have the access to this information. And not only that, platforms like Google, Ustream, and Twitter are making it easier for
Hmm.
us to connect with people at the stroke of a button or the touch of a screen.
Definitely. Agreed.
Tell
And
us,
I go ahead.
go ahead. No, 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 because I want you to lead into telling us a little bit about the role that technology plays in making sure that we secure these relationships and continue to build off of them.
I think technology plays a huge role, if not the largest role. I mean, because like you said, technology now gives us access to the world. At one point you actually needed a huge, record company to put you out there and get you the exposure and get you to the masses. But now, like you said, with the click of a button, you have instant access to the entire world. So technology is, in my opinion, the most vital component making or putting the Caribbean on a higher level, on a global scale. So technology is going to be vital vital. It's opened up the floodgates, so it makes it so much easier, so much more access. It's going to be the most vital role. Like I said, in my opinion, technology is the key.
And what are some of the tools that you're using to kind of get the information out?
Well, like the platforms you mentioned earlier, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I'm not on all of them, but the most active for me is Facebook. Facebook has proven to be, work out pretty well for me. I'm not huge on Twitter, but I have a Twitter. I use it whenever I can. But between Facebook and YouTube, those are the two, you know, apps that I use more than others. I'm not too big on technology, but I keep myself involved because you don't want to get left behind, and that's the way the world is moving. So I try my best to keep up, but I'm not gonna be on every single thing that pops up. I
Oh,
look and
yeah.
I see, yeah, it's just so many. It's too difficult to keep up with everything because you would just be, you would spread yourself so thin you'd be all over the place. But I try to focus on the ones that I feel work best for me, and that's where I put all of my energy. So like I said, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter a bit, use Instagram quite a bit as well. Instagram is great. So those are the tools that I tend to use to get my message or whatever I'm trying to put out there.
Now, you also have a website. Tell us a little bit about the website because you've recently established iCreate Music Magazine,
Hmm.
which will which will piggyback off of the event and actually extend it throughout the year. So tell us a little bit about that and what you hope to accomplish with that particular platform.
Exactly. You hit the nail right on the head. It's that's the exact purpose of it, to extend the event, and basically encompass everything that we encompass in the actual seminar. We're going to encompass in the magazine. So it's going to be focused on the behind the scenes. We only see the finished product. We see the glamour, we see the music videos, we see the big singles, we see the finished product, but we rarely get to see what actually goes into creating that final product. So that's what iCreate Music Magazine's focus is going to be. focus on the producers, the engineers, the songwriters, and the artists, because artists write as well. So everyone that's involved in the creative process, as well as the business aspect. So we want to cover some of the business too, how the money is made, who gets paid what, just we want to cover both the creative aspect and the business aspect. So that's what the magazine is going to encompass.
Now, is this magazine a pay-per-view magazine? Is it a membership-based magazine, or is it just free access for all?
Well, right now it's going to be free access for all. It's going to be digitally released, not print at the moment, and it's going to be free access right now. Yeah.
All right. Now, we talked a little bit about the event. We talked about the panelists. We talked about opening up the market to the Caribbean, to the rest of the Caribbean via your digital platform. Also, I definitely want to say thank you to Chubb Rock and Corinne DuBois, who have, once we announced it, stood behind it and have been pushing the idea and the concept of people in the Caribbean getting on board with iCreate Music Seminar. So I wanted to take that opportunity and thank them for actively participating and sharing it in their regions.
Awesome.
Let's talk about the need for education and why education is so crucial in the music industry.
I mean, just like I'll compare it to life. I mean, throughout life, education is important in any aspect, any area that you wanna, pursue. Education is key, because if you don't know, then I mean, you're crippled. You don't know what to do because you're not educated about it. You're not aware of certain things. So education is going to be vital, and that's what I tell people all the time when they ask about the seminar. I tell them this is not a dream selling event. This is strongly based on education. Education is the foundation of this event. You're coming here to learn, first and foremost, education, and then networking second. Because if you don't know, I mean, you're going to be taken advantage of like there's no end in this industry. If you're not aware of certain things, people will take advantage of you. So education is very important.
Do you have any horror stories? Because you said that with such passion, as if something that happened to you. So tell us, what are some of the horror stories that you may have that you can share with the general population? And coming from an island, I know because when I worked in the industry, people are like, oh yeah, them island boys. So tell us a little bit about that.
Why would you want me to relive these memories?
We need
I understand. But okay, there's one in particular. There was a manager after, like I said, we were traveling between 2007 and 2009. We attended like 8 to 9 different conferences and seminars in the span of 2 years. So our CDs and stuff got all over the place. We met a bunch of people, and I got a call from a manager one time. And I mean, this guy could talk you right out of your pants. I mean, he has a gift with words. So he was just talking about our CD and how he loved it and how he knows this person and how he can do this for us and this. And at the time, I was so hungry. I think I was on, the borderline of hunger and desperation. So he caught me at the right time, and he was like, yeah, I want to do this for you, and I'm going to do this, and all you have to do is, just sign this contract and, give me $1,000, just for traveling and taking your music this place and that place. And, me being not knowing that much at that point. And, well, what happened was, because even though I wasn't that educated, I wasn't a fool. So, but he had some sort of money back guarantee. If he didn't land a certain amount of placements within a year, you would get your money back. So I was like, okay, the contract has a money back guarantee. What the hell? So sent him the money, and I guess it's needless to say that I never got my money back, and I can't hear from or reach the guy again. So that's just one example or one learning experience that I went through of getting gypped in this industry. There are a few more times, you lose some money here and there, but that's the one that really sticks out.
What was your takeaway from that? I mean, you lost the money. Was there a contract involved? Was it just a call and you had his email? Like, What
Yeah,
were the stipulations behind it?
I
What was
had
the
his
takeaway from
I
that?
had his email and his telephone number. He answered a couple times afterwards, but I just realized it wasn't going anywhere, and I only paid the 500 instead of 1,000. And I thought to myself, okay, the money it's gonna cost for me to try and take this guy to court, flying
Hmm.
back and forth to the U.S., it really wouldn't be worth it. So I just, I chalked that one up as a loss. But what I learned from it was never. This is my opinion. I mean, it's your career. It's up to you to what decisions you're going to make. But I would advise people never pay a manager cash to do anything for you. You don't pay them cash. Managers typically get a percentage of any of the work that they secure for you, which can range from anywhere from 10 to 20%, based on different, uh, um, things that may, a manager may be, higher up on the ranks. They may have connections, so he may demand more percentage. One may be just starting out, so you may get a lower percentage. So there are different, variables as to how much a manager is going to get paid. It's all negotiable. There are no rules in this industry. But what I learned is do not pay anybody cash that says they're going to show up your music or take your music to this person or that person. People sell dreams all day, every day in this industry. Don't buy dreams.
Hmm.
They look they
Interesting.
look great on the shelf. They're all pretty. They're packaged nice. They look incredible on the shelf. But don't buy dreams in this industry. Trust me.
Don't buy drinks.
No, don't buy dreams.
Okay, so that was one. That was one experience. From a have you done any placements?
To date, no, no, no major placements. We had a placement with a guy in New York, up and coming artist, D. Julian. He did a record to one of our tracks. People call you sometimes, hey, this artist recorded to this record, but stuff, never came out. So nothing that was actually out and released and official, to date.
Okay. From that perspective, just with placement contracts and even producing a record with someone, tell us some of the do's and don'ts for that. Again, we are talking based on your experience
Hmm.
and what you learned and which what kind of drove you to having the iCreate. So tell us a little bit about just the production and having a person working on your product. Because I know you've done production for people before.
Hmm. And you said you want to know the do's and don'ts of.
Yes, do's and don'ts. So like, you have a record out there and it just was like, again, it was a dream. It was all a dream.
um, do's and don'ts. You mean I'm trying to understand, just as a producer, just working with artists?
Yeah, just working with artists. What are some of the things, the paperwork that involves in working with an individual? Well, yeah.
Well, get your paperwork first of all, especially if you're working with artists. Get your split sheets, because you never know what's gonna happen. Things you're in the studio, you're vibing, you're creating. You never know. Next thing you may create a big record. It may come out you didn't do your splits. Record ends up being a top 10 hit on Billboard, and then the guy that was going to the store for the cookies and the drinks says, hey, I told you to say this word, that word. And he wants some percentage of the record. And, stuff can get really crazy. So I would say do have your splits on hand and fill it out right on the spot. I mean, you don't have to do it while you're, making the beat or recording the record. But once the record is finished and everyone is still there, make sure you guys agree who should get what percentage rise, and work out your splits because that can turn into a crazy situation, especially for a big record. I've heard some ridiculous horror stories for some major records just for not having the splits done. So that's a definite do. Always have your split sheets.
I think that from that perspective, making sure that you have your splits, it doesn't matter the level that the artist is on or the level that you are on as a producer.
Nope.
Again, you have no idea where your product may end up, and based on who's pushing the product, you don't know whose hands it's going to get into. So it's
Hmm.
imperative that you at the minimum,
Mm-hmm.
your splits.
Yep. I don't care if you're in there with Jay-Z or a young chopper from around the block. Have your splits and make sure your paperwork is right. Because, like I said, like you said, the record could take off and then you're in a ridiculously crazy situation, especially when it comes to money. You know how people get when it comes to money. Once
Now,
money is involved.
when in the Caribbean, and this is not just in the Caribbean, but worldwide, producers are very hungry,
Hmm.
and they send out their records, place their records online, and send it to a whole bunch of artists. Say, hey, check out my beats. Somebody selects that record, that track, and says that they like it, and assumes that it's quote unquote free.
Mm.
How do you get past? Well, me personally, I have a statement for that one, but anyway,
Okay.
from a producer standpoint, not from Africa my perspective, but from
Hmm.
a producer standpoint, what are some of the things that you do? Because again, one of people assume that just because you're online, it's this free for all, it's the wild wild west, and they can just bombard people with information and don't have any kind of protection against themselves, so that they don't get hustled, so that their record doesn't end up in Quebec or Russia
Hmm.
somewhere, and they have no knowledge of it because they flooded the block with their information.
Hmm. Well, one thing you can do is copyright your stuff before you put it out. It's automatically copyrighted, but you want to actually file it so you can get the actual paperwork that says that it's copyright. Because once a work is completed, then it's already copyrighted, but you want to make it official because then you're gonna have to prove it. You understand? So that's one thing you can do to avoid, getting in any kind of issues. Because once you put it out there, you open it up for anyone to get it. So you want to make sure that you have protected your work before you put it out in the open for anyone to just download it. Um, it's difficult to track them. So I mean, that's the only thing I can say with regards to that because the internet is a free for all. So once it's out there, it's out there. So like I said, the best thing you can do is protect yourself and copyright it. File with the copyright office in the U.S. and get it copyrighted. Get all your tracks copyrighted before you just put them out there. Or else you could find yourself in some legal battle where you're trying to prove that you are the original owner of the work. So that's what I would advise that you do. I mean, we know lots of people don't do it, but that would be my advice if I were to ever give some. So just copyright your work before you put it out.
Copyright your work before you put it out. Now, me from a technical standpoint, as a computer person, every audio piece of file that comes out of DI Radiocast is embedded with metadata.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter what the person does, they get the audio track. All of our information is embedded in that.
Awesome.
So, if I download it from somewhere else and someone has recorded over it, my audio metadata is embedded in that file.
Oh, awesome. See,
So,
you're more
one of
advanced than me when it comes to that. Maybe you need to explain to them how they can get their tracks with the metadata so they would be protected as well. Because I'm
well,
not,
that's
I
that's
don't know
just
much
that's
about the
just
metadata.
that's just something that you can do to make sure. Like
Hmm.
it's a little tedious,
Hmm.
but trust me, like I do, because I want to live forever. I'm vain. So
Don't we all? Who wants
I
to
want to
die?
live forever. I
Hmm.
want to live forever. But those are some things, and then the other thing from a producer standpoint, as a content producer and a radio producer, don't do it. Don't just send it out all willy nilly. Be
Hmm.
selective in who you and make sure that when you approach them that you have an agreement, a standing agreement. By using this or listening to this, you agree to XYZ.
Hmm.
As long as it's written and there's um, a paper trail behind it, it's
Hmm.
binding to
Yeah.
an extent.
But I'm with this issue, I'm so torn because, like I said earlier, you would copyright your stuff before you put it out. But I'm also in support of, I mean, you know, put it out there. You never know what's gonna happen. I mean, you holding back on something could be you missing out on an opportunity for something huge happening. So I mean, by all means, I still support, putting it out there, even if it's not copyrighted. I mean, because at the end of the day, you can work out that stuff later. Maybe a bit costly, maybe a lot of work, it may be a lot of headache, but it may be a good problem to have because you may put it out without it being copyrighted, and someone may do a song, the song may become huge. You know what I mean? And who is to say if you didn't put it out at a time, if that same opportunity would have presented itself? So I kind of understand both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? I kind of understand both. So I'm kind of torn on the issue. I wouldn't tell someone to just no, don't put it out until it's copyrighted. Make sure you get everything done. Because some people, either don't have the time or they don't have the funds or they don't have either or the resources to, go through all the copywriting process. Although it's a lot easier these days, some people just, are not that savvy when it comes to copywriting their material. So I'm in support in either way. I'm all for putting it out, allowing it, because you never know. It may be huge. Hey, you may put it out, it may be big, and you may have the money to afford lawyers to or it may be worth their while. It may be worth the attorney's while to take your case because they know that it's a case they can win and they can, make some good money off of it. So you may come out pretty well. So I don't know. There's no rules in this industry.
There's no rules in this industry.
There's no rules. I tell people all the time. There's no rules. No rules in the music industry. Don't ever let anyone tell you that they are. There are no rules. There are not. Nothing is standard. Everything is negotiable. It just depends on how much leverage you have.
As technology grows, that may be true. I want to talk a little bit about the Caribbean because I think that there is something that I think Jamaica did a wonderful thing with the concept of a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
A producer makes a rhythm. I think it's like 1 million rhythms come out a week. I love Jamaican music. Their music industry, while it seems to be thriving, it really isn't because you only hear a certain select group of people coming out of Jamaica on any record, right?
Mm-hmm.
Internationally, and I'm sure that for the amount of people that we hear, there are millions more that are actually producing records every day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same with everywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the biggest things that I think that they did successfully was the idea and concept of a rhythm. So it's more lucrative for a producer because now a producer can get XYZ amount of people on one track, and the probability of that track busing, quote unquote, is higher because you have 5 people on the same track or 10 people on the same track. Somebody got to have a hit in there.
Yeah, and a lot of times, often you have a few hits off of one rhythm. It's not just 1 or 2 records. It's quite a few. I've been to clubs at times when they would run almost the entire rhythm. It's like a whole CD with 10 different artists, and all of the songs are hot at the time. So yeah, I completely understand.
So how do you think that would play in the hip-hop community? I know a couple years ago, Lil Jon attempted to do something like that. Lil Jon came from a dance hall background as a dance hall DJ. So I think that he experimented with that a couple years ago. If you remember, I think in about 2003, like it seemed like he was everywhere. But it was the same track everywhere.
Exactly, and I was about to say that's been happening in hip hop. Only thing is not exactly the same. Like with the Jamaican rhythms, it's literally the same beat. But give you an example. Listen to hip hop now. The hottest urban producer right now in hip hop is DJ Mustard. You listen to DJ Mustard beats, it's essentially the same thing. That's a few, the instrument may be different here, a chord may be different here, but essentially the same thing. And you can go down the line. I mean, there was DJ Mustard, like you said, Lil Jon, during the time when Yeah was hot and all that. Yeah, and Freak Elite is the same. Freak Elite is the same beat. Only the chord progressions are different. You listen to the drums and all the percussion and everything, it's the same beat. The Neptunes, when they were hot back in the day in the early 2000s, same beat, using the same instruments, pretty much same tempo, same beats. So it's been happening in hip-hop, just not exactly the same. So you would have a producer that would be hot at the moment, and their tracks are very, very similar, but it's not the same. So I think it's been happening in hip-hop. As far as to get it exactly the way it is with the Jamaican rhythms, I have no idea. I really can't say if it would work. It's up to the the listening community. I don't know, but it's been happening similar ways.
Well, Diddy invented the remix. That was
Sweet.
1998. Um, I was just going by the title of the
Yeah.
album. We invented the remix.
Uh-huh.
But think about it. All About the Benjamins rode out for 52 weeks on the charts,
Hmm.
and I think there were about 5 or 6 different versions of that song.
Hmm.
So I think that from the standpoint of your freestyles, your remixes, we have that in
Yeah.
the hip hop culture.
Hmm.
Right now, Smyrna, Hot Nigga is the track. Like they got the island rhythm, they got the remix, they got the original, they got the female rhythm. Like, and not for nothing, like I'm embarrassed that I actually like I don't like the real song, but I like all of the remixes of killing it. Like
You like
what?
the remake?
The,
Okay.
the reggae, the island version.
Uh-huh.
When I tell you, Jacure, what's his name? Junior Reed and freaking Movado bust
Uh-huh.
up on that. I was like, oh,
I
hot.
I haven't heard it, so I can't really speak on that.
You'll hear it this weekend.
Okay. I'll judge it then. But
You'll
I'm
hear
not
it
a
this
I'm
weekend.
not a big fan of the original, but you know.
Yeah, that was the thing. But
Yeah.
it's interesting how the music has evolved and how we've been able to participate in it. I think that ASAP Ferg just recently did a song with Bungie Garlin, The Big Truck, which was a huge carnival record
Hmm.
the past 2 years, right?
Hmm.
And then they revived it by putting ASAP Ferg on it for the 2014 Caribbean Labor Day Carnival in Brooklyn.
Hmm.
And I'm not an ASAP Ferg fan,
Right.
but
But you were
like
accepting him in that.
that song, I was like, he needs to just stay in his lane and do this. And when he did the remix to the Shabba Rice and he put Shabba on it and Busta Rhymes, like it worked.
Uh-huh.
So and as hip hop has progressed, over all of the years, when Caribbean music intertwined with hip hop,
Hmm.
it became more profitable and more attractive and appealing. So it's not that there isn't space in the quote unquote mainstream industry or the urban music industry for our content. It's just that we need to have more channels of access. And I create music seminar gives us that availability as well as the iCreate music magazine, which
Hmm.
will also help people in your region.
Hmm.
But are you looking to get to partner with people in different regions of the Caribbean to make iCreate Music Magazine a standout product amongst the Caribbean?
Most definitely. Keep that answer short. Most definitely.
Most definitely. All right. Well, we've talked about everything. I want to know what are the 5 records that are currently playing in your iPod, your phone, or even your car right now. 5 singles, not records, because we're
Oh,
a
see,
singles record society.
now you made it difficult because I was about to say that was gonna be very, very easy. Because to be honest with you, I'll be honest with you, Africa. I have not been a huge fan of the music that's out lately.
Wow. Okay.
So that's a tough question for me because I don't listen to a lot of singles that are
It
out.
can be anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be from this era. It
Okay,
can just be
you
the
know what I've
five
been.
records that
To be
you're
honest with
listening
you,
to.
all that I have been rocking for the past couple of weeks, probably a few weeks, has been Elijah Blake.
Ooh, okay.
I have been bumping that Elijah Blake. I can't pronounce the word, but I know it's 22, something 22. I think it's French or something. But that Elijah Blake project, I have been killing every day for the past 2 to 3 weeks. And I found out about, because I didn't find out about him until about 2, 3 weeks ago, because S1 did an album on that. I mean, not an album. He did a track on that project and he posted it as like a throwback record. Still, I saw it on his Facebook page, say, oldie but still a dope record. So I listened to it and I fell in love with the record. So I went, did research, found out who was singing on it, and then I found the project, and that's how I discovered Elijah Blake. And that is honestly all that I've been listening to. I don't really listen to a lot of radio and a lot of stuff that's out. So
You got four more. You got four more slots. Elijah Blake only fills one.
I'll pick four. I'll pick the tracks off of the actual album. Birds, Beloved. What's the name of the other song? The Damn I Miss My Ex song. Yeah, just the tracks off of that project, because that's all I've been listening to.
So just
being honest.
off that project. That's what you're listening to.
Oh yeah,
No problem.
that's my joint right there. I love that. Yeah.
Well,
Elijah
he's got
Blake.
a fan, so I guess everybody else is gonna follow suit and find out more about Elijah Blake.
Do yourselves a favor. Look up Elijah Blake. Get the project. Real music.
All right. Lastly, what are our expectations? What should the audience expect from the iCreate Music Seminar, September 20th and 21st, 2014, in Nassau, Bahamas?
Mm-hmm. They can expect, like I stated earlier, lots of education and lots of networking. Education, networking. We're gonna touch on lots of the different aspects of the music industry. So we're gonna cover the business aspect. Like I said with Combat Jack, we're gonna cover how you make money, who makes money, contracts, what to look for, publishing, what you need to get signed up for. If you're not signed up with PROs, you want to get signed up with those. We're gonna cover also the creative aspect with S1 and Focus, the producers, as well as Asia Bryant, the singer-songwriter. We're gonna, pick their brains into their creative process. What makes them tick, what keeps them motivated, the stuff that they do to make these huge records that they've done, how they keep themselves balanced, between family life and their careers. So we're gonna touch on a lot of things for education, and we're gonna also have some listening sessions where not all of them, but the selected persons that have registered for the seminar already, we're going to allow them to play their music for the panelists, get some exposure, get some feedback, and who knows what can happen. Maybe somebody may like something, maybe it may land on a project here, maybe it may land on a project there, but we're going to have a G-Unit listening session with Tony G. So he's going to be listening to some tracks from the producers to see if he likes anything that he wants to send to 50 Cent and G-Unit for the projects that they're working on. We're going to have a listening session for Asia Bryant, because she's an artist as well, so she'll be listening for stuff for her as well as projects that she may be working on, because she's a songwriter. She's written for Miley Cyrus, Jennifer Lopez. We're also going to have a Shop New Music panel where they're going to be listening to, they're going to listen to artists. It's going to be more general with those guys, so it's going to be artists, singers, producers, songwriters. They're going to listen to a whole, bunch of stuff. So it's going to be lots of showcases as well as lots of education, and then in between the panels you'll get a chance to network, to talk with the panelists, get to introduce yourselves to them, get to have a little conversation with them. So it's a whole lot. Just come ready, come prepared, come ready to learn, come ready to network. Bring your best music. Bring your best.
Now we're going to bring our best music and bring our laptops, tablets, whatever it is that we record our information on, so that we can capture the information in real time. If you are participating in the iCreate Music Seminar, whether you are in the Bahamas or participating from digital platforms, make sure you use the hashtag iCreate Music Seminar or iCreate Virtual. If you are participating on the virtual seminars, please note that you can vote on your favorite part of the program by clicking on the buttons at the bottom of the screen. In addition to that, you can ask questions, and if you would like to call in, you can call in from your computer. You don't necessarily have to call in from a mobile device. Just click the URL link, and it will call into the session, and we will post your question. We will actually have you speak live during the panel session to ask your question. In addition, the questions and the conversation will live with the broadcast thereafter, so you'll have an opportunity to go back and engage and interact. During each panel, The panelists will give out their social media information. Please follow up. They give out the information because they want you to follow up. A lot of the people that I've met over the past few years, whether it be in technology or music, has been through a social communication distribution. They've given out their information, and I took it upon myself to follow up, and now a lot of them are my close friends. So don't think that you do not have the opportunity to network. It's networking on a different platform, but all the same, it's networking. Get the most out of this production, whether you are physically there or you are virtually there. Once again, my name is Africa Allah. This is DI on Live, and we have been speaking with Greg Collie of iCreate Music Seminar. Check you out September 20th through 21st in Nassau, Bahamas.
Later, folks.